to Liquid Courage, the podcast where I, Amanda Pereira, sit down with a fellow artist that I admire and ask them the questions I've never had the guts to ask them before. Sounds scary? Yeah, it really is. So I use a little liquid courage in the form of my guest's favorite drink. We cheers, chat, and connect as I attempt to soak up all the wisdom they have to offer. Today I sit down with Jay Stevens and we throw back some non-alcoholic beers thanks to Partake Brewing. With over a decade of experience behind the camera, Jay's mission as a filmmaker is to continue bringing dynamic, personal, and visually captivating LGBTQ+ content to the forefront. Jay is the co-creator, cinematographer, and director behind the high-energy mockumentary series Slo Pitch, which you can watch now on Amazon Prime and OutTV Go. Jay has continued their directing career, directing an episode of CBC and HBOMax's Sort Of, and an episode of Astrid and Lilly Save the World, granting them a nomination at the DGC Awards this year for Outstanding Directorial Achievement in a Comedy Series. This past September, Jay was invited to participate in the Toronto International Film Festival's Filmmakers Lab, and Playback has named Jay one of their annual Top 10 to Watch. Currently, Jay is working on a number of projects, one of which is a feature film about a transgender male musical theater performer who is relearning their voice after starting testosterone. And they are shooting the movie in a very unique way, which we get to chat about a bit in this episode. So Jay is a director, a cinematographer, a creator, and someone I admire immensely. Good job. Hi, Jay.
Hello, Amanda.
Hey, as we were just saying when we were getting set up, it's weird that I've never met you, but I have never met you. And I didn't share this when we signed on to start recording, but like, I'm a little starstruck. I am such a big fan of yours. I know that's so gross to hear. And my hands are sweating saying it, but I'm such a big fan of yours.
I'm sweating because I don't think I've ever heard it before. So like, I'm not really? Like, no, stop. I'm like, really though? Really? I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah, just take it. Well, and for viewers and listeners, like we have had many of your loved ones on the show, Knox, Perry Voss, I should say last names, Sam Coyle. And so I feel like it was only a matter of time. Maybe that was my sneaky plan.
We were circling.
We were circling and now we're here. And I'm so glad that we're here. We are drinking Partake Brewery, which the name... Oh, wait, did I say brewery? Brewing. Sorry.
Brewing. That's okay.
Great name.
They did a good job, I think, with that.
Yes. For a non-alcoholic beer to have like partake, like you can still partake. It doesn't matter. I was on board immediately.
Yeah. Be included.
Yeah, be included. And even there's like, I don't know, the can has like a concert.
Yeah, people obviously just like rocking out at a concert. Yeah.
Everyone is drunk and they're like, you can be there too.
So look, I just saw this. It says 0.3% alcohol. So they're kind of lying. Did yours say 0.3?
Yeah, imagine mine was 0%. And I'm like, oh, Jay.
I never knew that before. What?
Wow. Wait, so
0.3.
But it literally right underneath says non-alcoholic beer, but 0.3.
Maybe that's like the percentage of error, because I've learned that they make alcoholic beer and then somehow they take the alcohol out of it. So maybe that's like their percentage of error.
Oh, because they have to cover lawsuits or like whatever they have to cover. Wow. So I'm wondering though, I'm like, so it narrows down their customer base. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm watching so much Shark Tank, but I'm like, that narrows down their customer base. For some people.
It would, yeah.
Wow. Well, they're not a sponsor now, but Partake Brewing, loving their name. I'm going to crack this over my mic. I'm going to try.
Me
Let's
too.
see if we can do it. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
There you go.
Okay.
You didn't spill on your keyboard.
I did. First time you heard starstruck. From someone said it to your face, really. And first time I didn't drop this on my keyboard. What milestones we are going through today together. Cheers.
Congratulations. Cheers.
You too.
I hope you like it. I don't know.
Honestly, oh my God, I'm not copying from the taste. Imagine I just vomited in front of you from meeting you.
I mean, you could be. Listen, the first time I had non-alcoholic beer, I wasn't so sure about it, but I found this one. I was like, I don't hate it.
This tastes, first of all, I like the taste of every beer, and this just tastes like beer, except for sour, but this just tastes like beer.
Yeah, that's why I like this one, because a lot of them don't.
Oh, they don't. I don't know if
You
I've
want to
tried
know
a lot
why
of.
I've switched to
Yeah.
non-alcoholic?
Oh yeah, tell
So
me.
if you look, it says 0 grams of sugar on the back. And I recently got told that I'm verging on type 2 diabetes because it's a genetic thing. And so I've had to cut down on my sugar intake. So I've cut down on real beer to try and work on that.
Wow. Okay, first of all, that's a whammy of a diagnosis. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a whammy of a verge of a diagnosis, but like still legit. I was like, I was listening. You were not talking.
Yeah.
That's scary. A genetic thing does it. My dad has had diabetes like my whole life. So to me, I was either like, it's inevitable or I feel very familiar with it. Like it didn't have a scary,
Right.
I don't want it, but I'm not like, please give it to me. But I'm not as afraid of it as maybe a diagnosis that I'm like not very familiar with. So you said it's genetic. Fair. How did you feel about when you heard that?
Well, apparently, and I did know that because I've always been tested for it. And yeah, I guess I've seen my dad be able to manage it. So I wasn't like, uh-oh, this feels life ruining. Because he also has like a fairly mild situation with it. But the doctor was like, you could do nothing and then we could put you on like drugs. And I was like, or I could just, work out more and
diet
try to
and
eat
exercise.
less sugar. So
yeah.
Trying to do it the like actual way versus putting medicine in my body. So
yeah. Well, I'm so glad to be introduced to partake because it actually tastes really good. And I like the name. Yeah. And 0.3%, we can still having some of that. That's great.
Now we know.
From both worlds. Now we know. Learning so many things. Okay, there are so many things I want to ask you. We could do a part 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe that's scary. I'm realizing, it's like, but no. All questions you have answers to. It's just about you. Because I would love to get to know you. So I guess, first of all, just what kinds of projects are you, like, do you find yourself drawn towards mostly?
Ooh. I would say projects that center, sorry, Siri thinks I'm talking to her. I would say projects that center, oh my gosh, again, but I'm just going to ignore it. We're going to ignore it.
Yeah, don't say the word center. Maybe it's center? Yeah. I don't know, though. I don't know. I'm trying to guess. Mine does it
Whenever
too. I can't
ask Siri to come up. Oh,
nothing.
She did come up. Okay.
Oh, she's
now we know.
you
Siri's in the fold. I am really drawn to projects that tell LGBTQ plus stories and have those characters at the forefront. I think that a lot of people try and get me to narrow down what genre or what format or if I want to direct or shoot something. But I think that for me, it doesn't matter so much, all of those things, just as long as there's characters that I feel connected to and that I feel like are telling a new, interesting part of the queer experience. That's what I got.
That's what I got. Your face is so good. That's great. It's silly. It was honest. No, that's great. I'm wondering too, like with you. So I always wanted to be an actor and then sort of like found my love for producing or writing or creating things sort of out of necessity because I just felt like I was like, well, no one wants to hire me, so I'm just going to have to make. And I know you often in interviews and stuff have said, well, if there's not a job out there, if someone's not hiring me, I'll just make it. I'm wondering how much you creating your own work came out of necessity or came out of you actually just like always wanting to create your own work.
I think it kind of like ebbs and flows because if I think about being little, I was always telling stories. I was always making my own films, like horrible films, but like I just always had the camera and was trying to make stuff. So I think I've always enjoyed telling stories and creating stories. I think that I felt shy about that though. Like saying I wanted to be a director felt easier for me than saying I have a bunch of stories that I think are worth telling. I think that felt scary and I didn't feel like I had that for the longest time. But I've definitely realized that I love creating stuff. I like coming up with characters and worlds and building all of that out. I find really, really fun and really, really exciting. So I think it initially started as like I need something to show people that I can direct. And then I realized that I actually really like it. And now I'm kind of at the place where I realize I like to do both. Like I love being hired on to stuff that then it's like a shorter period of time and you get to meet a bunch of people and like jump into someone else's world, which I find really cool, like learning how other people are thinking about similar topics. But I love creating stuff too.
Yeah. What helped you with that? Like, I don't know, you said you felt shy with like saying, oh, I have stories I want to tell, and now it's a little easier. Like, what helped you be able to find that confidence? Or maybe it's a different word, but what helped you get there?
I've never thought about that, but probably
Can you
people
tell I
enjoying
want to
slow
get better
pitch.
there?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. People enjoying slow pitch. Yeah.
Yeah, and like messages where people say watching this really helped me, or I felt seen through this. I think that makes me go, okay, like I'm not out in a world all by myself. Like these stories are resonating with other people. Because that's, I just try and create from like what would I enjoy watching. And so I don't think I had the confidence to think that other people would actually want to watch those things.
Right.
Yeah, but then after creating Slo Pitch and people watching it, I was like, oh, perhaps if I make something that I would really, as a viewer, want to watch, there's at least some group of people somewhere that also want to watch it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad. Imagine it's like the fear when you're creating something, I think, is like, oh, what if nobody wants to watch it? I feel like that never, I don't know. I feel like that doesn't often end up happening. If it's really something that is like calling to you and authentic to your voice and something you really believe in, with the internet, a person can see it across the world. So like somebody's got to. So I'm so glad. I'm a fan of Slo Pitch. Watched both seasons. Congratulations.
Amazing.
So fun.
Thank
Loved
you.
it.
Thank
Loved
you.
it.
Thank you.
What was the casting process like for that project?
Not much of one, to be honest. So we did an initial like IPF trailer, the Independent Production Fund, which is a grant, because you have to create a trailer for the show. And at that point, literally just Knox, Gwen, and myself, they're my other co-creators, we just started going, okay, who do we know that would be good for this role? And I think that was because we were doing it for basically no money, so we felt just bad like calling people in to not really pay them, but also it's not like we didn't know anyone. Like we have quite a circle of people, and so it really was us being like, who do we think would be good for this role, and then reaching out. And then only a couple of cast members switched between the trailer and the series, and we did the exact same thing. Like I think we only got tapes for one role in season 2, but everything else, it's always been, this person's hilarious. Why don't we try that?
Yeah. Well, and a lot of the people in the show I didn't know of before, and it was so nice to get to like be introduced to all of them. And then I knew Knox of Knox. And then know Kirsten, who plays the coach. I'm not telling you. For anyone listening, I was like, in case you forgot. And I'm just know her through like the improv scene, and I just also just love her. So there's so many different ways into that show of like characters, or just the juxtaposition of like this, like, slow pitch game that who cares, but there's all this high drama. Like there's so many fun ways into that show. And I read that you wanted to allow for a lot of improv on set. And I'm wondering, like, from a cinematographer and director side, like what were the biggest challenges for you in really wanting to incorporate improv into like the quick shooting schedule you had, and also just in general, like into the show?
Honestly, probably the biggest challenge, because I direct, but I also am the DOP, so I'm operating the camera as well. Season 1, the problem with the improv was it would make me laugh so hard I would ruin the take.
Oh, no, like you would shake the camera?
Start shaking, or just like completely lose it. Like I was constantly crying and so because we have such amazing improvers, and Kirsten's definitely one of them, like I had to learn how to not ruin takes.
Right.
Because they're so funny. And so kind of how we did that was, we get the script. I think a lot of people think, oh, you allow for improv, so it just is completely off script. That's not kind of how we do it. I say, like, to get yourself into a scene or out of a scene, just be free, kind of is what I like to say. And then I say, don't stop until I yell cut, because who knows where this will go. And because I'm operating the camera, I'm normally so close to whatever's happening. And so it's great in another way where I can say, now spike the camera. Like if someone says something funny that's an improv, we can add that like in the moment and then just take out my spike the camera. So I don't know. That part just feels fun to me. So you said challenges, but like literally it was just me not ruining takes. I love the improv part of it.
Yeah, I love it too. I a project that some friends and I filmed, we had the luxury of having 2 cameras going at once, and it was so nice for improv to be able to catch, and it was a 2-hander like the most of the show. So it was just so fun to be able to improvise and like get that incorporated into the show. I think I'm very biased. I'm an improviser myself, so I'm just like, oh, that's so fun when you get to do that also on set and know that it can potentially be incorporated in like the tops and ends of the scenes. So that's great.
I do think a second camera would be nice for those moments, because like you're saying, like then you have that other coverage. The nice thing is, because I'm operating the camera, I can kind of change the game plan. So if it's on the person who says something, I can whip to someone else for a funny reaction that wasn't necessarily planned to try and hit that improv. But sometimes we're like, okay, remember that one take where this was the improv, let's try that again so that we have this side of it. So that is the one thing where sometimes you have to like backtrack when you're doing other people's coverage.
Yeah, but it's great that you're wearing both those hats in that moment, because you're not, if you were just director, you have to be like, move the camera. Like I love this part. Move it. Yeah, you would miss it.
You couldn't.
Yeah, so that's great.
And as an operator, you don't feel the freedom to make that choice, right? Like even if someone says follow your instincts, because I've been there, and then something's happening and you doubt it for a second and then you've missed it and you're like, oh, would have been so good, but we'll never have it.
It's gone forever. Yeah. Because of me. And I should have trusted my instincts, and now I have to go home and talk to my therapist about how I didn't trust my gut, and it's a whole spiral. As a cinematographer, what are your favorite kinds of directors to work with, or like your favorite type of director cinematographer relationship?
I think collaborative ones. I think I work with a lot of directors who are first-time directors, and they're often worried that they don't know enough technically. But I'm like, that's my job in that situation. I should know that. So I'm like, I kind of say that I'm an interpreter. So it's like, you can just say the feeling that you want, or even just that you're like, this isn't right and I don't know why. And then it's like, okay, let's figure out why. And maybe it's the lens size, maybe it's the lighting, who knows, maybe it's all wrong. But I love that sort of stuff, and kind of like working through that language. You talked about Sam Coyle, who I shot her first feature, Hazy Little Thing. And by the end of the shoot, you just have such a good language, because I would just literally be like, what do you think? And then she'd just go, I'm like, okay, so we're gonna change something.
And she doesn't know why, and she's not sure what wow, you really have to kind of like be, I was gonna say mind reader, but you already used a word that's way better than mine, interpreter. Like it's literally that. You really have to interpret. It also sounds a little bit exhausting sometimes. Like I'm just thinking, if people are like, I want this, I don't know what it is, I want something different, can you figure this out?
If someone doesn't have a vision, it's exhausting. But I work with people, luckily, who do have the vision. They just might not have the language. And I think that's very different. Because even if, as long as there's a clear vision, and then you start to know when they think it's right, like the first few setups, you're like, okay, they didn't like that, but they like this. So we're figuring out what kind of world they want to build. I don't know. I find that's the part I find fun.
Yeah. How does your experience as a cinematographer help you as when you're directing?
Oh, I think it helps me a lot. I think having that understanding of the technical side helps so much in directing, literally just from a shot listing point of view. But more than anything, I'd say, like, the end of the day, you're behind because you're always behind. and it's the last scene and you're trying to figure out what shots to cut, I feel like, or like how to combine shots or something. I think it really helps in moments like that where you like, I feel like that stuff comes very naturally to me. And so I think that's where it comes in the most useful, because I can quickly pivot because I kind of know both sides of it. I thought moving into like union television that I'm just directing, that I would miss the cinematography side of it. And then it probably took me half a day. And then I realized I love just being able to say like, I want it to look like this.
Yeah.
But not have to figure out how to do that.
Yeah. Have someone else interpret. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I love that.
Yeah. Has directing changed how you then approach cinematography? Like then when if after having directing experience and then you're going back to being, let's say, like on another job, you're going to be the cinematographer, does that influence how you do that job as well?
I think probably, yeah. I think in very similar ways. And again, in working with a lot of first-time directors, can kind of help them if they ever get lost, because I found there's always normally like one point where someone goes, I don't know what to do here, and you can kind of like work with them again and not make it your vision, but like work with them and talk to them about the things that they might like really need to get the scene in a way that works for the film.
It must have been like such a such a nice relief, like when you were talking about being on set and you're specifically directing and you're like, I thought I would miss it, and then half a day and I'm like, I'm happy to throw it out there, because sometimes it's hard, like as gig workers, often we spend more time between the gigs than actually doing the thing we want to do. It's like it's like me being a dentist, but I only spend like 20% of the time dentisting. Touching
but you really
teeth.
think about
but you think about the teeth
time.
all day, and you plan it out and you envision the smile you'd like to create for someone. So like I think sometimes it's easy to sort of think like, fuck, do I actually love it this much? Like, do I actually want to do it this much? And so I think it can be, I was just telling my partner the other day that I was at like a voice acting workshop thing, and I came home so lit up, like, oh God, that was reassuring. Like, I fucking love acting. Thank God. Because sometimes you go for so long. So yeah, I imagine that it would be a really nice relief to realize, oh yeah, I do love directing. Like, I think I'm going to keep this going. Yeah.
And it's actually interesting when you talked about getting into other things so that you could support your acting.
Yeah.
That's how I got into cinematography. Like I've always wanted to be a director, but it's hard fresh out of school to get hired as a director, and so I was creating my own stuff, but I kind of fell into the camera department. Like I was supposed to PA on the shoot, and then the night before the camera assistant dropped out and they went, you know how to work with cameras, right? And I was like, yeah. And so like third job out of school, instead of PAing, I was a second AC, and I never thought I would ever do that job. I wasn't like, I feel technically like appropriate for this job.
Yeah. Technically appropriate. I know. I love that better. Technically appropriate. That's great. I actually love that better. That's great.
But then I kept getting hired by that production company as a camera assistant. And so I just started kind of at the same time I was trying to direct, and then I kept getting hired as a camera assistant. So like cinematography was never the plan. It was just the thing that I was getting hired and paid to do while I could make my own short films for no money as a director.
Yeah, just pouring the money. Sometimes that scares me, because I sometimes that scares me. That was such a stupid setup. Like, listen, sometimes you scare me. Like, no,
I get what you're saying. Yeah, the idea. I get it.
The idea that you're gonna, because it took me so long to finally actually tell people I want to be an actor. I just, for so many like weird mental blocks, I just couldn't say it out loud to people, but I always knew. And I sort of felt like I need to be experienced. I need to be knowledgeable enough in all of the things to deserve to be an actor. So I I took a full course to be like a script coordinator, and like worked in casting for years, all these things. And I found sometimes when I would try and do something else, I almost felt like, oh my God, people are just seeing me. They don't know I'm an actor anymore. Like they're just seeing me as casting. They're like, oh, you act? Since when? So yeah, thank God you enjoyed cinematography, but was it ever kind of hard to like, did it ever feel like, oh my God, people are seeing me as this and like my director dreams are going away? Where are they?
100%. I think right before Slo Pitch, or probably until Slo Pitch came out, I was kind of in that world. And again, it's also what you are telling people that you do. Because I also think for the longest time, I told people that I was in the camera department, whether it was saying I'm a camera assistant or then a camera operator or then a cinematographer. I was saying that to people. So they're going to take that as what you do. And then I kind of felt that with directing, being like, oh, no one knows I want to do this thing. And now I kind of feel shy about it. And so it did take, I think, Slo Pitch coming out for people to realize that that's what I wanted to do. And then from that point on, I tried to like put out what, like, even on just on social media, you know, like talk about my directing and not just post stuff that I've shot and like in my bio saying that I'm a director and that sort of thing. Because people will believe what you put on Instagram. That's
people will believe what you put on Instagram. If you
just say what you want, and then people will say, "Oh, I would need a director," and this person says they're a director. It's perfect.
Say that you are what you want to be. That's a weird thing too. Is like, I want to be an actor. When do I call myself an actor? Like, when am I an actor, or when are you a director? And I'm like, well, you just are. These aren't things. Yeah, it's not. It's just. You just are. As soon as you're like, I'm committed to doing this thing, you are.
You might not be a good actor or good director.
No,
but
you're there's bad dentists. They still call themselves dentists.
Yeah. They ruin a bunch of people's smiles before they get better.
Everybody's smiles. Yeah,
we can do that too.
Yeah. Absolutely. They could do all of that. What do you like? What do you love so much about directing?
I don't know. I think I just love telling stories, and I really love working with the actors. Like, I find that dynamic so fun, and sometimes challenging, but it's like a fun challenge. And listen, I'm a Leo, so I would be probably lying if I said that I didn't like the control of it too. Like, I like being able to make decisions. I like. Yeah, because sometimes even as a cinematographer, you have to be like, okay, that's what you want to do. And honestly, as a director on a union set, that then becomes a whole different dynamic in terms of hierarchy. But yeah, I do. I see things very clearly in my head, and so I like being able to actually make that happen.
Are you into astrology?
No.
Oh, I was like, what do Aries do? I was like, oh my God, Leo, cool. I don't know anything, and I want to know all the things, and I never Google it.
I feel very similarly. I'm as a queer human, I'm surrounded by a bunch of people who are obsessed with astrology, and so I just get tidbits every once in a while, or people tell me, "Oh, that's because you're a Leo," and I go, "Okay, great."
Same all the time. They're like, "You're an Aries, aren't you?" I'm like, "What are you seeing?" Or like tarot cards up there. I can't even point. And I'm like, I don't know how to use those, but I have constantly the people around me being like, oh my God, pull like whatever. And I want to know more. Someone told me I was a cuspy Aries, and I'm like, well, fuck, now I have to know what that means too on top of it. Cuspy.
Does that mean that you're on the edge of like the date
of like glory? Your hands just perfectly framed Lady Gaga's name in the background. And so I just immediately thought of Edge of Glory. Yes. Because I'm like the day before I would have been a Taurus, and I was born early, and now I'm forgetting what it actually is supposed to be. But maybe we'll learn about it. I never, my stepmom has the same birthday as me, and she will often be like, and so lovely in a loving way. She'll be like, oh, that's because we're Aries. And it's always characteristics that I feel like are not myself. Like, I feel like it's opposite to me. So I get so confused. Like, I think I was supposed to be a Taurus. Anyway, I got excited that maybe you can tell me all the things. I'm so sorry.
I can't tell you all the things.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's just like, we clearly will not create something together about astrology, because that's not our story to tell. Like, we don't know anything.
Unless it's a documentary about like learning the basics.
Learning like an ancestry.com, but through astrology sort of thing. Okay, great. We'll pitch that for everybody. We'll get that. So speaking of directing on union sets, directing an episode. It's not out yet, but directing an episode of Sort of. So I got so excited of Sort of.
Yeah.
I said out yet. Which I'm just a big fan of the show. So I like again, another layer of fanning out on you. Fanning out, geeking out, whatever. What was it like going to direct a set of a show that you were already such a big fan of? Like, what was that first day like, or the first meeting or whatever?
It felt very surreal because another word that Siri gets involved in. We found another one.
Okay, you can't say centered or surreal. No, we're cutting them out. Okay, great. You're gonna get to the end and you're gonna be able to say like 5 words.
Just
fucking
nodding.
technology.
Yeah.
You're just nodding
and drinking.
Yeah. And I'm translating for you. I've become your cinematographer. Oh my God. Meta Ninu. Okay. What was it like? What was it like directing on a show you are a fan of, or you were a fan of going in?
It was the strangest thing because I have always been such a big fan of TV. Like, I feel like that's a dumb thing to say, but like, I just love TV and I've always watched too much. So like, only thing I fought about with my parents when I was growing up was they would always be like, stop watching TV. And I'd be like, but I've got 7 more shows I want to catch up on tonight. Yeah. Like, you have to do something else. And so I used to get like obsessed with shows and picture the moment where I could be on that set. And then watching the first season of Sort of, and like the representation and the amazing tone of it, because I think it's like very much in line with the type of stuff I want to be making tone wise. I felt like that when I was just watching it, and I definitely was a fan of the show. And then just the interview of it with like Bilal and Fab in the interview, I was like, what is happening in my life right now? Like,
were you just so nervous?
Like I was so sweaty. I got so red. I was like, they're never gonna hire me because I'm a tomato.
Sweaty tomato.
And then I think it was like so weird. And then stepping into the different locations, like stepping into just the houses and stuff. I'm trying not to spoil things. I'm not supposed to, that's why I'm like, what can I not say? That was that hesitation. But stepping to certain locations where I'm like, this was on TV and I watched this in my living room during the pandemic and now I'm standing in it, and like, that's amazing.
That's like what you dreamed of as a kid. Like, that's what you pictured. Like, I want to be on that set. And then you were on that set. Do you just like retire and die in that moment? Like,
I think as soon as it comes out, I'm gonna announce my retirement. There's no peaking. I've peaked, so I'm out.
Oh, that's so cool. God, and it's like so incredible to get to have that experience of like, that's what you wanted when you were a kid, and now you get to do it.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, I know Amanda Cordner from Slo Pitch.
Oh, right,
but
yes.
I just watching the first season, 7 was just, I was like, I love 7. I just love this character. The energy is incredible. And so Amanda walking on set as 7, that was weirdly the moment where I was like, oh my God, I'm such a fan. But like, because
like, you already
even though in between I had already worked with her as in Slo Pitch, but for some reason 7 in particular, I was like, oh my gosh, I get to direct 7. That's so cool.
And it's like, this isn't like real life would be directing Amanda, but I'm in this world. Like, I'm in the world where Amanda is 7. Amanda doesn't exist anymore. Like, wow.
And I get to be like, I love it when you say king and queen to each other. I was like, can we add that into the scene that's not written? And they're like, sure. And then they said it, and I was just at the monitor like losing my mind. I was like, I'm in my fantasy. This is happening.
You're just choosing all your favorite moments from season 1 and be like, wait, and can you do the thing where do that? Oh my God, this is great.
When my episode happens, I'm like, we've seen this all before, and I'm like, isn't it amazing?
Yeah, Jay, this doesn't make sense with any of the like season arcs, and this is literally just a montage of the first season. They're a highlight reel. Was there any? Maybe this is a stupid question, but like, was there any imposter syndrome going in? I truly feel like not even because it was a first or something. Like, I feel like I could direct 20 episodes of a show and I would still walk in the 21st feeling imposter. Like, how did you get through the imposter syndrome of that moment?
everything I do, I feel imposter syndrome, to be very clear. If anyone ever figures out how to get through that, I would love that.
Yeah.
You just have to do the thing, because otherwise you're going to do nothing. I don't know. It's like, yeah, I'm incredibly nervous before I step into the first meeting, and then I'm incredibly nervous the first day on set. And I don't know. I think you just have to show up. And like you probably don't eat much. Like I don't eat much that morning. I barely can drink coffee just because I'm so nervous that I'm like, this isn't gonna go well if I eat food. But yeah, you just have to, I don't know. It's channel it, try and be like, it's because I feel nervous, but I'm actually excited, and like try and do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, why am I doing this to myself and my nervous system? Like, why did I choose this career? But then also there's nothing like it. Like when you really, after the maybe it's not a few moments, because sometimes it could be like weeks leading up to it of imposter syndrome. But once you're actually on the other edge of imposter syndrome, it's like, oh my God, this is the sweet spot. This is where I'm supposed to be. Like, so it, though, it pisses me off how many people feel imposter syndrome. I mean, I feel like it's everybody, and it's especially in doing this.
It's honestly, not everybody, but it's a lot of people.
What are their secrets? Or are they like, then they're assholes?
Yeah, I think maybe.
Oh,
I don't know what their secrets are. I also think what helped me, because so my first union production was Astrid and Lilly Save the World, and with that, I had built union sets up to this big thing. So I never stepped foot on a union set. And then I was like, but now I'm going to direct, but I've never been on one. And like, because of the pandemic, I was trying to job shadow and no one would have me on set. And I was like, oh God. But then you just realize it's all the same thing. Like it's the skill set that you already do have. Sure, it's a different scale. There's way more people on set and like all these different things. But fundamentally it's the thing that you know how to do. And I think realizing that's what I try and tell myself, and the same thing then stepping onto sort of, it's like, it's the thing you know how to do. It's this framework that feels terrifying, but like you do know what you're doing. And then everyone there wants you to succeed too, like, so if you do have those moments where you're failing or flailing, I guess more so, people are there to help you out, and like no one wants it to sink. So
yeah. And you're there for a reason. Like even if the imposter syndrome is like, well, maybe I faked it through my sweaty tomato meeting. It's like, how much can you really fake it? Like people see through more than I think we realize they do, and I mean, walking on your first union set and directing, and then you get nominated for an award, like no big deal. So I guess whatever you're doing is working.
Thank you.
So I think that is great advice. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
It is kind of just, you just have to do each moment. Like you just have, okay, get through the meeting, get through the prep, get through the first morning, the first day. Like it's just get through that moment. Cause sometimes it feels like it's a mountain. Otherwise, it's interesting that you say, you grew up watching like too much TV, or like your parents were like, you're watching too much TV. I always think like, I also grew up watching enough TV that I felt ashamed about it. And I still do. And then sometimes there's this little voice inside me that's like, well, nobody would shame me if I spent all that time reading books. And I'm still like diving into a story. It's not like I'm rotting away on a couch. What were kind of the TV shows that you were like obsessively watching as a kid growing up? Like, what were your favorites?
I mean, I think this is why Slo Pitch is a mockumentary, but like The Office, I was absolutely obsessed with. And I'm trying to think of like the first one, and I actually think doesn't hold up whatsoever. Very aware of that. But The L Word, and that was more so as like a closeted queer kid. I just was like, oh my God, representation. And literally would like watch it under my covers on my computer at night, because I was like, I don't want my parents to know I'm watching this show.
And that wasn't just because it was like, a TV show. It was like because it was The L Word.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
They never knew. Like, it wasn't like they specifically were like, you can't watch this show. That was me being like, if they know I'm watching the show, they'll know I'm queer, and my life will go to shit. But it didn't.
It did. It's great. It's great now. It would be great if there could just be kids, like that there could be kids who aren't queer, who are watching shows that have queer people on it, that they're like, oh, I'm hiding under my covers because this show tends to show like steamy kisses and it has nothing to do like that. It's not, oh my God.
I'm sure it does happen though.
I'm sure. But I feel
but that show also is not appropriate for children. Like,
right.
I will fully say it's not. I'm not like, everyone should go watch this, especially kids. I'm like, it's not appropriate.
Parents, show your kids the L.
I remember watching it and being like, what is happening? Because it was like, it was too soon, but I was obsessed.
I just think like it sucks that feeling that, oh my God, because I'm enjoying queer content, everyone's going to assume that I'm queer because only a queer would enjoy queer content.
Right.
You know? And it's like, oh man, like I used to read, now I'm bringing it to read. I used to take them from the library. I don't even know why. And read Danielle Steele, which I don't know if you know about Danielle Steele. I don't know a lot, but all the books are like very R-rated. They're not like, they're not like sexy books where there's like, you know, like a pirate and a
like
I don't
Fabio
know.
On
yes,
the front
thank
cover.
You, Fabio. Oh, thank God you came in and saved me. Yeah, it's not those, but they're like about very, very adult subject matter. And I just think like, what was I doing as an 11-year-old reading Danielle Steele? It was too much. But I am also obsessed with The Office. I always have it on the go. I start from like the pilot and I just watch it all the way through and then I go back. It's always,
You go all the way to the end every time?
Yes, every single time.
You're not like end of season 3 or 4 and then out?
I'm feeling like maybe that's what I don't. Do you?
No, depends on the time. And actually,
shame.
I've figured out that like before Slo Pitch, as we were creating it and stuff, I started watching The Office again.
Yeah.
And then literally, I think the day that we picture locked, I finished all 9 seasons. And then so for season 2, I was like, I'm gonna watch it again. So then I just always have it on when I'm shot listing and that sort of thing. Because it's like in the world enough.
Yeah. Let it absorb through your skin through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I watch it all, but I enjoy the earlier seasons way more.
Yeah. No, totally. I hear you. I mean, yeah. Or even like, it's funny even when I asked you, like, what are the shows that you loved growing up? My first thought was like, oh, crap. Like, most of the shows that I loved growing up don't hold up now. And so it's like, oh, does it feel crappy to be like, I loved Friends growing up. Loved Friends. Yeah. Now, most of the episodes I'm like, oh my God.
So much problematic stuff in that show.
So much. Or like, yeah. And sometimes I'm like, okay, so we know this doesn't hold up. I'm going to try and enjoy it anyway. Or most of the time I'm like, okay, this episode's too much. There's like only so much I can tolerate to still enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's also just wild to think that there was a time when I watched it where I didn't know, like I absolutely didn't even register with me. And now it's so obvious I can't even enjoy it. Anyway, so I'm glad you said The Office.
That will happen with that'll happen with all the shows though, probably. Yeah. Like even ones now will hopefully be more evolved in 10 years and look back and be like, ooh, why were we doing that or saying that? I don't know.
I know that's the hope, right? I was talking to a writer friend of mine and I was saying like, sometimes there's the pressure to write something that you feel will stand the test of time. Mm. But I was kind of thinking like, well, I hope it doesn't. Like, I hope in 10 years I have learned more than I know now. Like, I hope. Yeah. So anyway, but I get the pressure, but also I think ideally in 10 years, the shows we make now maybe don't hold up because we've learned and we've like moved on from those moments.
Love that.
That's great. So talking about your nomination and your wins and your TIFF's 2020, I knew you're going to hate all this, Filmmaker Lab and Playback's 10 Canadians to Watch, all of this. How are you with like receiving praise? How are you with like receiving compliments and awards and things?
I get very shy. Mm-hmm. But I also love it, if we're being honest. Again, and everyone tells me it's the Leo part of me, but I'm like, it feels nice. I think maybe some people genuinely don't feel that way. I feel like if people say that it doesn't feel nice, that they're probably lying. Because we all work really fucking hard, you know? Yeah. And so it can feel like you're creating into a void. And especially during the pandemic, like season 1 of Slo Pitch launched and I never watched it with like more than one other human because we were in lockdown. so yeah, it feels like I know that I'm growing as a filmmaker, and I think my work is getting stronger. And so then for other people to recognize that does feel really nice, just because then you're like, okay, but maybe I am on the right track. And I don't think that those things are the only reason to make art, to be very clear. But yeah, it does feel nice. But then I'm very shy, and then I don't know what to do with myself in those situations. But that's okay.
Yeah. Oh, like if you envision having to make an acceptance speech, is that like, oh wow, that would be cool, or is that like, I hope I get hit by a bus?
So
Before.
last weekend, 2 weekends ago, I don't know, I'm bad with time, but I went to the DGC Awards that were in Vancouver because I was nominated for Astrid and Lilly, and I hadn't thought about making an acceptance speech because like it's a sci-fi show. I'm in a comedy category. I'm against like working moms and sort of in Pretty Hard Cases. Like I'm not
right.
But in the moment where they started calling out names and it's like 600 people in this room, I went, oh my God, I don't think I could go up on that stage. And I was just like, I hadn't visualized it. And then I was there being like, what do you do if you have to walk on that stage right now? And I again would figure it out, I'm sure, like all of the imposter syndrome we're talking about.
Yeah.
But like just in that one for like 30 seconds as they were announcing those, I went, oh no, this is a lot of people.
What a terrifying moment to have that realization. It's not like on the plane a week before, like, oh my God, they just said my name. Oh, what? I can't go up there. I can't. Somebody needs to like just full panic. How did you choose what to wear? I just feel like I would panic about literally every decision. So I'm like, how did you make any decisions?
I mean, I've been just reusing the same outfit for the last like 3 months. And so honestly, my friend Ben Toner, who's an amazing like wardrobe person in film and TV, also designs for a bunch of drag people. And I just think he's amazing. And so I asked him if he could make me an outfit, because I like to think that I'll look dashing in like a men's suit, but then it never quite fits right. And then I get all this like dysmorphia stuff. But I was like, Ben will help me with this. And so he helped me design this like sort of suit, but it's not cut like a suit, that I've just been wearing to everything since TIFF.
Is this the outfit? I promise I'm not creepy. I've just been doing research. Is this the outfit that you wore to the premiere of Adult Adoption with Knox?
Yes, the blue, blue plaid. Yeah.
Good job. Ben did you well. Did you proud? Great
Everyone should hire Ben. He's amazing.
Ben? Okay, great. Decision made. It's so easy. You're supposed to figure out what to worry about.
Yeah. So I'm like, Ben, do I maybe put a non-black shirt underneath and like maybe wear a white shirt? And then Ben was like, don't do that. And I was like, okay, I will wear the exact same thing to everything. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, great. You know, it's awesome though when you like have an outfit that you feel that you don't have to worry about. Like, I feel good in this. I feel confident in this. This like achieves the thing that I need. Great. Pull it out. Let's go. I'm awesome. Thank God.
Maybe one day I would wear different things to all the different events, but I'm also like, who cares?
Yeah, who cares? And eventually,
I like how I feel in it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wear that.
Yeah. It helps Ben. Eventually Ben will just gift you something. He'll be like, listen, you or you just it's like a Homer Simpson, Marge Simpson, whatever. You just have like, you technically have 20 of those Ben outfits in your wardrobe. Nobody knows.
No, I've fully talked with Ben about how I can't wait to have the money to just get him to design me stuff.
Yeah.
Fun.
Oh, that's so fun. That's so fun. So you've mentioned in some interviews that like you always want to make things that you personally would want to see on TV. And I think you even mentioned it earlier today. I'm like,
I'm a broken record here.
Yeah, no. I mean, also I literally asked you a couple questions that I'm like, I'm sure you've been asked this before, you know? No, it's not you. It's not you, it's me. But I'm like, I'm wondering then, like these days, what are you itching to make? Like, what topics or things are you like, oh, I'm not seeing this on TV and I want to see this on TV, and I'm the one to tell this story?
That's a good question. I mean, I've got like a few shows in development that are all topics and like genres that I feel excited about. I do think I've said this before, but like I want to see some like trans characters who are assholes. I want to
Mm.
see like the Batman or Bond villain be a queer person or a trans person. You know, I'm like, let's move past the coming out narrative or like the having to explain yourself narrative and just let these people exist and see complexity and flaws, because I think that's the that's the thing that people shy away from, are those flaws. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah. Not ever. It doesn't have to be like model behavior for them to be like a full human being.
And
Yeah.
I that's what I appreciate about Sort of too, is that like Sebi is not a perfect character and often does selfish things or whatever, because it's like, yeah, they're not going to be this perfect human because they're
human.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally. I know there is this push to like queer characters have to be likable, or you're saying if you're queer, you're not likable. And it's like, yeah, but we never fucking put that pressure on any other, like, that's not a thing. They're just human beings. And it doesn't always have to be about that. Yeah.
I think that's any minority, right? And everyone's like weirdly fighting to be able to put that minority as an asshole on TV. Like,
that's so interesting. Yeah.
Because like even I remember like people watch the L Word, and again, we know there it had some problematic areas, but because it was like the first of its kind, or one of the first of its kind, everyone was like, this isn't representing everyone. And it's like, it can't. It literally cannot represent everyone. It could have represented a more diverse group of people for sure, but like, yeah, there's no like, I don't know, Grey's Anatomy doesn't have the pressure of like, you aren't representing all doctors, you know? Like,
right. Yeah, totally.
even though they probably have now, because what season are they on? 40?
Yeah. But still they're not. And they've had like 200 doctors in all the seasons. And still no show can encompass every single type of person. Absolutely. Yeah. And they don't have that pressure. Well, and you were saying some things that you have in development. Actually, Sam in her episode in the end was like, yeah, so Jay Stevens and I have something in development. Like little Easter eggs for people who are listening to both episodes. Look at this, just worlds colliding.
I love it.
But I know that you were directing your first feature film with, and I want to say this name right, and I've only ever read it, and now I'm realizing it's the first time I'm saying it out loud. Breton Lalama. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
Okay, great. So could you share what the film is about and like how the idea came about?
Sure. So I'm still directing it because we're actually shooting over the course of a year in small chunks. And that's because it's called, at least tentatively called, Really Happy Someday. And it's about a trans man who is a musical theater performer and starts taking testosterone, which changes your voice. And so the film follows this man for a year and kind of fighting to get control of his voice back. And I keep using Ratcatcher as a reference point because it's very observational. It's not like, let's get all the traditional coverage. And just like watching this trans man exist, which again, talking about representation and stuff, I think there's just power in seeing someone exist in a non like politicized way or a non overly dramatized way. So that's what we're going for. And we have an outline of the whole script, and then we write each chunk. Like, we're going to write each chunk before we shoot it, but we're also leaving it open to see what actually happens in real life, and being open to different things that life and whatever presents us.
Yeah. So did you and Breton come up with the idea together? Is it like a collaboration?
Yeah, it actually was like a very weird serendipitous series of events, because I've been writing this other feature film for a few years now, and it's just never quite felt right. And I like keep going back to the beginning and trying something new and tweaking it a bit, and it just never quite felt right. And Breton and I had followed each other on Instagram for a while, but never met in person. And then actually when I was editing Sort of, I was going And I looked, and there's this guy on his bike, and I was like, oh my God, I think that's Breton. He was sitting waiting to cross the street, and I was crossing there. And so I was like, oh my God, Breton? And he was like, Jay? And we literally only met for about 45 seconds, but instantly I just was like, oh, this person, like, there just felt like a connection there. And that night he posted probably around 50 like Instagram stories about his vocal transition, because he is a musical theater performer who is on testosterone. And I watched them all just being like, oh my God, this is so interesting. And he's really documented how his voice continually changes. And I was like, this is so similar. Like, the themes of this could be so similar to what I've been banging my head against the wall with for a couple of years, but it feels like a very specific problem. And where like transness isn't the problem, but there's an element of it that's causing this person to fight for who they are, without it just being their existence, if that makes any sense. It wasn't like transness problem, it was like control of your voice is the problem. And so that really interested me. So I messaged Breton, and he was so excited. And then, yeah, we started writing it together. And it's not the film that I was writing before by any means. And we've just been doing it together and passing the script back and forth. And yeah, it's been really, really lovely.
What the hell are the odds that like riding on a bike in the background, and also for you to be able to recognize Breton from Instagram, like all of that is wow. That's amazing. Well, and I had read like the unique way that you just mentioned how you're filming it, like that you will be filming it in small chunks over the year, so that it does feel authentic in like the vocal transition and things. And what are, I guess, like, I think that is such an incredible way to film it, and like such a unique way and such a perfect way to, it sounds like, to tell the story authentically. And what are some of like the challenges in filming it in that unique way for you too?
I think we're going to discover a lot of them as we get further along, but I think like now, because we've started shooting it, so now we have the set characters of our film. And I think in finding our first chunk of shooting, it was much easier to say, are you available? No? Okay, who's available for this chunk? But now we have established people. And so I think the puzzle of when is everyone available, when are the locations available, is going to become a large challenge. I don't think it's an insurmountable one, but I think that that's going to be like a big jigsaw puzzle that we're trying to figure out throughout the whole film. I'm also currently self-funding it because Breton actually is on testosterone. We talked about doing the traditional grant system, but I was like, by the time we hear back, because it takes so long, we'll have missed it. We'll have missed the window where this is interesting. So we decided just to start shooting. And again, that's scary, but also fun. And hopefully some of those grants do come through eventually. But that'll be another challenge, is like, how do we get the funding to at least do post-production? Because also our music budget is going to be a problem too, because it's about
you already know.
Oh yeah, we already made some strong choices about what music is going to be included, and we know the price tags of them, but we're like, this is what it has to be. So
that's going to be the whole budget. Yeah. You're like, well, we've signed up now. Oh, I didn't even clue in that with it being like about a musical theater performer and a singing voice, you're going to need, okay, well, that's where the budget's going. We're going to get post donated, and the whole budget is going to have to go to the music rights. Yeah. Already up front. Yeah. Oh, and and I think too, like in my head, I had pictured it more still scripted, but more on the documentary side. But when you're saying like these characters and things, so it's more still based, of course, in truth and like very authentic. But if it's more on the scripted side, you definitely need those like locations and those characters that you have.
We talked a lot about it being more documentary, but I don't know, I think for everyone involved, it felt to me like, as a director trying to protect my cast, I was like, it felt better to create these characters that are definitely separate, have different lived experiences. Obviously, like you said, we're like pulling from elements of truth from myself and from Breton and different experiences we both had. But yeah, everyone, it's definitely characters. And yeah.
They're lucky to have a director like you who's looking out for them like that. That's really nice. You're like, I feel like it's safer for everybody. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. If I was one of the actors, I would appreciate that very much. That like delineation that you can still tell your story, but it doesn't have to be you, your name. You know, you can have that safety. How was it like approaching directing a film versus TV? Like, did you find that there were differences for yourself in it?
Well, I find just now that I've had a budget, going back to having no budget is interesting. But in terms of like TV versus film, I don't think I necessarily approach it differently. And I think I'm actually still learning on the TV side of things how to hit all of the markers that you need to hit, because like you need your credits to hit and then your commercial break, and then it has to time out to exactly this because you're on network TV. And so I actually think I'm more so trying to still like become comfortable in that, whereas this feature especially just has so much freedom because like there's no other producer right now to tell me what to do. There's no network. There's no anybody.
So it's right just my bank account and some other artists.
So there is a big limitation there, but yeah. Pretty much.
I feel like that usually ends up being, though, it's like the smallest budgets are the ones you have the most freedom, and the biggest budgets are sometimes and I think also with TV, like with a film, often, well, I'm going to say like 99% of the time, it's like the director is directing the whole film. Whereas for TV, and of course, you know this, but for like people listening and who might not know, for TV, often you might have, 10 episodes or 20 episodes, and you're bringing in a director to direct one episode. And what was the experience like? Not only are you coming on to direct an episode, like this show already has a full season, it already has that set up. So it's great because there's a formula you can reference, but also everyone already has like a working relationship, and you're the new person coming on. Like, what was that experience? I'm like, can you tell me? I'm like clenching my shoulders. Like, it's nerve-wracking to come on and be the new person and you're in charge. Like, what was that like on Sort of?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's also funny. I think you explaining that is smart, because the amount of people who go, oh, shows have different directors, like no one sees, and I'm like, do you not watch the credits? And then it makes me, I'm like, oh no one will know that I'm even directing it.
Oh no. Instagram, they'll know because you told them on Instagram.
Exactly. Exactly. But it is a very unique situation, because you have like a vision of what you see the episode being, and then it has to fit into a pre-established framework, like you're saying. I think everyone was so lovely and like seemingly excited about my contribution to the show, and so it never felt like people were like, whoa, what are you doing? But I also I'm not the type of person to be like, I am gonna change everything. This is now a sci-fi,
and like we're making it.
And I've been like very fortunate to talk to Helen Shaver a few times in my career. I don't know, she was in Poltergeist, but now she's directed like Maid and Station 11, and she's incredible. If you don't know her, check her work out. It's incredible. But before Astrid and Lilly, I was like, what do you do? Because like you want to make sure it feels like your work and blah, 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 blah. And she's like, just understand the ethos of the show. And because you're the one who's talking to the actors and like making those decisions, even if your eye is on fitting into a formula, it'll still feel like yours, because every single decision runs through you. And I think that took the pressure off for me, because I felt so like, but I need to like make it mine. And it's like, no, you're hired on as a guest to fit the show and to execute the showrunners, the creators' visions. And so I think it's selfish when directors go like, no, you have this successful show, I'm going to change it. And that's not what I'm there for.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then crew, with crew, it is like, and sort of we only had 4 days an episode, and so it's very fast, which you can tell the first couple days, and it's not because they're like trying to test you or anything, it's just you are a new like element in this thing that they've already been doing for months, and so there is a bit of learning how to work together. That happens on any set though. But yeah, there is a bit of them trying to figure out who you are, and you're trying to figure out how that dynamic works. But yeah, by the last day I was like, oh, I think we found it today, and then it's the last day, and like,
you're like, oh, I realize this person hates working with this person, and I keep putting them together, and everybody knows it. But no, I mean, it is interesting. I think that's such wonderful advice too, though, that like you work within the tone, the ethos of the show, and because it's you doing it, you will direct through you. Like that's just, you can't direct it as anybody else. You're just you. So like you will come through in those, even those a bunch of like 1,000 mini decisions that you're making will ultimately feel like yours in the end, hopefully. I was hearing that, my mind was like blown, and I felt more like comfortable, and then I think it didn't make me go try and overcompensate in any sense, because you're just like, it'll happen. Yeah. It's even, honestly, it's even helpful, like as an actor to hear, or a writer, like to, you know, it's like, oh, you're going to guest on a show for one day, and you always want to fit into that world perfectly. And then also like, okay, well, you want to add something because that's why they cast you, or that's why they brought you on. But just remembering, but like no one's going to say the line exactly like you're saying it, or nobody's going to bring that to the character. Just be in the world appropriately, and then be technically appropriate for whatever thing you're doing there. And the rest will just filter through yourself. Just try and be yourself, kind of thing. Yeah.
And they hired you because of that, the way you said the line, or because of your perspective, or whatever it might be. And just trusting that, which is hard, but
one step at a time, one day at a time, one prep at a time. I would love to ask you some little, I call them rapid fire. It's such a stupid, it's just like, here's a collection of random little questions that I have for you.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
Fun. Okay, great. Do you have any tattoos?
I do.
What tattoos do you
They're
have?
all on my hands.
Which finger hurt the most?
I don't know, actually. Perhaps my pinkies?
Yeah, that's what I love that you have them in between your fingers, because like if you don't want anybody to see them.
I have one on this side that ruined that, but
that ruined
otherwise no one would know on this. Oh no, and then I got this one. I forgot.
Oh, okay, fair. So
I did,
pointer finger.
but these two were my latest ones, though. The ones that are visible to other people were my latest ones.
You got very confident by then. You're like, I want everyone to see the hands by this point. So
my mom already knew I was getting tattoos, so I didn't have to worry about her disowning me. It was all good.
I actually have a friend who got like a full chest tattoo and hid it for years. And he would say, I'm going on a family vacation, like we're going somewhere hot, and he would wear a t-shirt, and anyway, I mean, they found out, like they were at a pool. Anyway, so which one was your first tattoo?
Oh my gosh, I can't do this without making inappropriate gestures.
Was that purposeful?
The two on this hand, the X and the camera.
And a camera. Why the X? I mean, I'm just assuming why the camera. Maybe I shouldn't assume, but
yeah, that was fair.
Yeah.
That one is a bit of a personal story.
Love. Okay, great. I love. Oh my God, I can read faces.
Yeah.
Great. Oh my God, this is so fun that they're all on your fingers. Okay, cool. I was wondering.
Also, what do you see with this one?
I see boobs.
Great. So many people go like cyclone smiley faces, and I'm like,
no.
Boobs.
And that's so weirdly specific. And why are there two of them then? There would just be one. No, I see boobs. And part of me was like, oh no, does everyone say boobs? And you don't want it to be boobs? But I'm like, no, just go with what I see. I see boobs. Yeah. Oh, I love it. And you can just hide the boobs if you want, or you can have nipples out if you want. Oh, that's great. That's great.
And choose your own adventure.
I felt tattoo energy off of you from a specific story you posted of the feature film script. And I thought I saw a wrist tattoo, but it wasn't. It was just like a thread. And then I was like, I feel like Jay has tattoos.
I think the story you know is actually Breton. And no, but I reposted it. It's okay. But it's funny because we've been like finding a bunch of similarities between the two of us, and like we both have. He intentionally got a C. Mine just like kind of doesn't have part of it anymore. But they look very similar, and we found like a bunch of weird similarities, and that was one of them. So he has one of those, I think, like, which was in the
photo. Wow. Oh, well, just somehow. Wow, you and Breton were like really meant to meet and work together. Like just all these little kismet little things. I said rapid fire, and then I asked you like 17 follow-ups. Okay, so okay, question. If you want like getting myself back on track. If you want to unwind from like a long day, what are you watching on TV right now? Or like movie? Is it a greatest hits, The Office? Is it something new? What are you watching right now?
I feel like unwind and what am I watching right now are two different things.
100%.
Unwind is like trash TV. Unwind is because if I'm watching something that I actually care about, I'm so like activated. I'm thinking about all of their choices. I'm thinking about how I would have done it. I'm thinking about like how amazing they are. And so, yeah, often watching like actually good TV is not a good thing for me when I'm trying to unwind because I'm in it.
I'm so with you. What is then I watch trash and everyone makes me feel bad about it. Like, you want to make TV and you're watching this. And I'm like, yeah, because otherwise I'm a little bit at work, which I love, but my brain's not turned off. What is the trash you're watching to unwind? And trash is another person's treasure. So what treasure are you watching right now to unwind?
I just finished all of Tiny House Nation.
Wait.
But not because I want a tiny house, but because I love like clever solutions for stuff. And so even I made a whole new plan about how we're going to do an outdoor couch next year. I was like, I'll build it and it'll have the storage. And then, because I was inspired by the tiny house mentality.
Okay, Jay, that is not turning your brain off.
Like, but it's not work.
Okay, fair. It's inspirational and
it's like fun.
Personal. Yeah. Okay. When you said tiny houses, I was picturing there's this competition on CBC about like miniature houses, like people building miniature houses. It's like the miniature house competition. Found it one day with a friend and we binged all of it in 24 hours. I'm going to send you the link.
I will be watching it probably tonight. Please do.
I'm going to send you the link because it was amazing. Okay, that's amazing.
I can't wait.
Who is a performer?
Trashy reality TV. That's it.
Trashy reality. Same. Literally right before we started chatting here, I was like, oh, great. Let's unwind a little bit. I'm a little nervous. Okay. Who is a performer? I'm sure there's many. So who's one of the performers that you would love to get the opportunity to direct?
Oh, yeah. There are so many.
Yes.
I am going to go with Cynthia Erivo, though.
Oh,
she's now playing Elphaba. So I'm like, now I'll never be able to afford her because fuck, Disney got her.
God.
But I saw her on Broadway in The Color Purple a few years ago, and it like changed my life. And so I think she's incredible. And I like to be in an actual room where she sings. I think I would die. So Cynthia Erivo.
Oh my God!
Well, and I wouldn't be able to because I'd be like, I can't sing. I'd just be like, perfect. Moving on.
Nailed it. Moving on. One take wonder all the time.
Or I'd be like, no, we have to do 40 takes because we haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah. The camera fucked up. Just blame everybody. Yeah. The sun was weird.
I just want to be serenaded.
Yeah. But maybe it's like this kismet thing where she ends up in your film, like musical theater. I don't know. It's been weird fucking kismet shit so far.
I would die. No, I haven't thought about it, but now I'm like, now I need to make that happen.
I'm putting it out there. Internet, please.
Probably in London shooting Wicked, but we'll try. Well,
she might be finished in the next year. We'll figure it out. I've come on board. I'm like, we'll figure it out.
You can secure Cynthia. Okay, great. I will be forever in that. Yeah.
That'll be my only job on the movie.
Worth every penny.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm also free for hire.
Perfect.
Perfect. What would you say your love language is?
It's like gifts?
Oh yeah, gifts.
Words of encouragement or something?
Yep. Acts of service. touch, and quality time.
Quality time.
I had to Google them and write them down because I was scared that I'd forget them when I started talking to you. I was like, I'll get nervous and I'll forget.
I would probably say a split between. Can it be a split? It's going to be.
You say all 5.
Time and touch.
Quality time and touch.
And probably words of whatever the other one is.
Yeah. Okay, cute. Is that also, I realized when I wrote that, I was wondering, like, for friends. Like, if you have a friend who wants me, but then I'm like, okay, physical touch can still be from a friend.
A hug from a friend is like the best thing ever. And I think with COVID for so long, I like really missed that. Because I feel like that's when, to me, I feel like a real connection.
Oh, I love that. So you don't have to get gifts. You don't have to do things. No one needs to do anything for you. Just give you some nice words, touch, quality time. Oh, I love that. Okay, that's amazing.
I mean,
okay.
I'll take gifts too, but it's not the thing that I need. No.
Yeah, if you want to do my laundry, great. But like, I'm not going to feel loved. I just feel like, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, thank God I didn't have to do that for myself.
Yeah, exactly. And
I'm being bad. I'm drinking water.
No, that's not bad. Listen, we didn't know that it had 0.3. You gotta wash out that alcohol. You gotta balance that out. Diabetes. I'm like yelling at you.
You gotta do it. Water.
Diabetes. You gotta have water.
Yeah.
And actually, when Nilu Handa came on, she was like, "I want to let's try and drink a pitcher of water." So we tried to drink water. Was the drink of the episode. I don't have words now.
And how did you both do?
It was great. I had to pee so bad at the end. Fair. And we just chugged the rest of it at the end. It was great. I felt so hydrated. Usually I don't feel very hydrated after the recording. So that was great. Yeah, honestly, it was wonderful.
Nilu is also in the orbit. I'm working with Nilu as well.
Oh, fun. Such a fan of Nilu's too. I know mostly through comedy and then, yes, but big fan. Well, obviously, because I was like, please be on the podcast. I think you're cool. I can't talk to Nilu in real life. At the avocado toast premiere for season 2, I was like, we've had so many conversations and still when I'm in front of you, I feel like an idiot. Like, I can't. I think Nilu is so cool and I can't have a conversation.
So cool.
Okay, so the way that I'm wrapping up these episodes this season is I have a hard time asking for what I want. I just kind of assume, like we were talking about, you wanted to be a director, but you were telling the world I'm a cinematographer. So I'm trying to get better at that. And so I'm inviting my guests to, I don't know if it's put something out in the universe, manifest, whatever, ask for, whatever the word. What is something that you would like to put out there that you would like or that you wouldn't mind if it happens? Maybe someone's listening and could give you that opportunity or something. What would you want to put out there?
The first thing that came to mind was money for my film.
Yeah.
I think, for being honest, probably that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
how about you?
Yeah. Oh, God. You know, it's funny. I was talking to my partner the other. I just got tomato sweaty. I was saying, I to my partner, my friend the other day. I'm like, I'm asking every guest this question, and I've never said it. And I'm like, I'm trying to get better, and I never say it.
So only if you're comfortable, obviously.
Totally comfortable. Also, thank God I'm the editor. I can edit all of it out. If I say what I want and then I'm not ready. No. If I'm too nervous to say it. I would love to story coordinate or writing assist in more writers' rooms. I would love to I'm developing a show right now where I get to be head co-writer and head co-creator, and that's amazing. And the dream for me is showrunner and actor on a show. I want to do that. I want more experiences where I'm working with people who are different than me in their working, how they do things. And I want to absorb how other people break a season, how other people do that, where I'm not the one that everyone's asking the questions to. And I love that. I mean, it's a dream, truly. But I want to learn more. So I want to be the one who's just I will show up and I'm really good at taking notes and I'm so annoyingly organized. So I want to be in more writers' rooms or just help people on their projects where I can absorb how other people do the job, because I'm seeing mostly how I do the job, how my co-creators do the job, who are similar to me. So I want to learn from people how they do the job. So if you need help, if you need a writer's assistant, if you need a story coordinator, if you need a note taker, I want to do that for you?
Amazing to know. Is there any specific type of like genre or format, or would it kind of be like anything and everything so that you get to taste a bit of everything?
Sort of anything and everything right now. And then I think it would very quickly be filtered to comedy. Like I love our show that we're creating is like a mockumentary comedy. I also am like The Office, Parks and Rec, or like things like Veep, like that.
Veep is one of my favorite shows of all
me
time.
too. Oh my God. Like I don't know if there's a more perfect show. It's
the Clea Duvall when the episode where they're at the cabin and then like the Chinese president is there and then
the daughter's
she's
there
kissing.
With the pen and
oh my God.
That
setup, like that was being set up for so long and the payoff was spectacular.
So good. Or everything with Minna. Everything. I will watch every moment with Minna. Sometimes I just Google like YouTube compilations of the two of them and their relationship, like when she has to accidentally she accidentally hits her on the face from the high fives, or like when Minna's talking about how attractive that one diplomat is who like had an acid burn on his face and she's like the sexual whatever. So anything like that is my like sweet spot dream. But truly anything to just I want to learn more. And it's ended up that in order to learn or to do what I want to do, I've gone the creating route, which I love, but I'm missing out on helping other people create their stuff. And that's what I want to do also. So thanks for asking.
Now it's out there.
So nice. Do you want to co-host this podcast with me?
Sure. I love asking people questions. And when you're wondering about like acceptance speeches, I'm also like to sit here and answer questions for this song. I always deflect and like, but it's not like a coping method. I just love learning about other people.
I know it is a huge gift being on this side and getting to interview people that like truly you just get to know somebody. You just get to ask them questions and still have, of course, that like respect boundary that you can't ask them anything. You're asking them things that they are willing and comfortable to answer, of course, but that you just like get to know another person that you really want to get to know and get to use like a podcast as a reason. It's a great excuse to do it.
I have one more question for you.
Yeah, of course.
Dream acting role.
Oh my God. Okay. So when I saw Parks and Rec, the Leslie Knope character, I was like, that's a little bit of me. Like, I would love, and I'm saying that with like a little bit of like, oh, that sucks. Like, that's me, unfortunately. Like, I'm not the most fun, but I'm going to have organized binders and I'm going to like remember your birthday every year. And like, I'm going to try too hard and I'm going to be optimistic, all those things. So I think a Leslie Knope, and then also like, the main character in Veep. Selena. That kind of character where you get to be a horrendous character for the purpose of like telling a POV that you really strongly believe in. That is something that would be so fun as well. So
that's cool.
I guess a lead in a comedy.
But those type of things. You gotta put it out there.
That's the dream, where you get to be with an ensemble comedy and get to like fuck around and improvise and tell stories with like truths in it that matter, with people who just get to be like complex characters. That's kind of like the dream. Yeah. So it'll happen. Well, what I love about this like community and just making in general, like creating things in general, is that it is such a collaboration. Like it does really take a village. People don't often, you can make something completely by yourself, but it's really hard and it's very limiting. There's only certain stories you can tell. So it's incredible to get to find families and like get to create stories with those families. And yeah, it's very unique in that way. It keeps you in the job, keeps you coming back. It's addictive in that way. So yeah. Oh my God. Well, thank you for asking me questions too, Jay. That's so nice of you. I'm very sweaty now. Nice to meet you. I'm so sweaty.
I get it.
Oh my gosh. But listen, in real life sometime, I would love to have a conversation. You can ask me questions. I will ask you so many of the remaining questions I have for you. I would love to. And yeah, this has just been so wonderful. Honestly, it has been like a long time coming. You've been on my list of people I wanted to interview for so long. And I was like, all right, I need to reach out finally. Enough of this.
Well, I'm honored because now I'm in very good company.
Aw, Jay, no, now I'm gonna get sweatier. Thanks, Jay. Oh my God. Oh. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Liquid Courage podcast. If you liked what you saw and you're looking to support the show, here's a few ways you can help. You can leave the show a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, or you can follow the show on Instagram and TikTok at Liquid Courage Podcast. Or, and best of all, you can tell a friend about the show. Tell a family member, tell a coworker, post about your favorite episode online. Spread the word. That really is the best way to help support the show and help it grow. Did I just rhyme? Okay, until the next episode, cheers.